Hi, I'm Dave, and this is Crit Thinking 418. So, just wanted to check in. Watched another sort of debate. Can't remember the exact whereabouts, but it was some kind of rally or uh, de- I really don't know. But it was on YouTube. Perhaps I can put the information in the title or description. But anyway, basically, what I gathered from it was that this particular person was basically saying that he didn't want to believe a book or a god or a religion telling him to do or behave a certain way um, unless that religion were verifiable empirically. Empirically. Anyway, and so he said that God is not an empirical thing, that there's no evidence of him whatsoever, besides the feelings and experience, feelings and impressions of people. And he said that that's just doesn't cut it for him. And so I thought that was interesting. He said that, God hasn't shown himself in any other way, and that's where he was set. And I guess he probably seems to also remove history, or the Christian story of Jesus is so outdated that to him it's just not enough verifiable proof. It's not something that he can see and just have that. So what I'd like to do is think about it in a different way. So let's say we scratched out the whole Bible, all except for the first verse, which says, "In the beginning God created the heavens and the earth." So everything else is gone. In fact, we don't even need to say that it's from the Bible. It's just a theory that anyone could come up with. So let's go with that theory, that in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. So what can we learn about God from that? So let's think about it. So in the beginning God created the heavens and earth. So in this case, creation is not, they're not referring to arranging, like how when we create a piece of art, we're really arranging the molecules and the colors together to make art. We're not actually creating the molecules and the matter and the stuff like that. So, but we are creating art, but not from nothing. In the case of what God did, he made, supposedly, we're talking creating in the sense of complete creation, and not just arranging the stars and the moon and the earth and the places that are meant to be. So, so that's off the bat. So what do we know about God then? Well, for one, he's outside of this universe. And he's outside of time, because we know from science that there seemed to be a marking, the Big Bang, where everything began, both time and matter and everything. So, what do we make of that? So, God is outside the universe. If something is outside of the universe and made the universe, well, how are we going to detect it and see it? And that's something to grapple with. You know, if God is who he is, like, okay, so if he's so big that he made the universe and he's outside the universe and whatever, how are we going to see him in an intelligible way? And the answer is that probably not, unless he makes himself visible to us in a specific way. There's no saying that he is visible to our eyes, to our that our light illuminates him. We don't know that. So the only way to make himself visible is to manifest him in a physical way. And so now the question is, you know, So that's the beginning of what we could know about God. We also know that he's very great, amazing, powerful, all those kind of things. So, but right off the bat, we know he's not going to be visible to us unless he makes himself visible. So now we got to ask, why does he not make himself more visible? Or he sort of already did, according to the Bible, but we scratched out the Bible. So the Bible's gone. So how would God make himself visible? The 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 best way for God to make himself visible would be to make himself in the form of a man that could do special things. That's one way. Otherwise, it's very unrelatable. If this odd, huge being walked by and that's it, that could work, I guess, but there needs to be development or relationship. Otherwise, you just think it's a monster, and there has to be some relationship developed. So I guess perhaps God can speak to a certain person, maybe eventually develop a relationship with a group of people, and then perhaps he could even come to earth, so to speak, make himself in the image of a person. So those are the things that he could do. Could he also, write something in the stars or whatever? I think the best way is the ways that we just spoke about. And, logic leads to those things, I would think. The funny thing is that they do sound similar to the Christian and Judeo-Christian narrative. Now, am I tainted? Yes, I already know that narrative. So what does that mean? I just wonder if someone without the Christian worldview, no knowledge of it, with just that first verse, they would end up creating everything that's seen. Now, why does God now just why does God then come to human earth and then leave? Well, God wants us to do things ourselves. He doesn't want to have to manifest himself in the world all the time. If he did that, we'd depend on him. We'd cling on him. He could say no and no and no, but to say no, no, and no, is that not just the same thing as not being present? We really, to ask for him to be present means to manifest himself in a way that is really not him anyway entirely, although he is fully God and in Jesus. But anyway, so the final step in manifesting himself, a way to still manifest himself but not any special way, is to carry on a message through a people who are touched by him and who have a relationship with him. So it's a very viable thing, and it seems to be very close to the Christian narrative, and I think it all makes sense. So at the end of the day, what do we make of all this? I mean, why does God keep himself hidden? And so all that. And how would a God that's outside of the universe relate to someone? Unless he makes himself visible, he's going to relate through the Spirit. So I like what this young man is saying. That he doesn't want to do something just because a book says that he should. That he wants to have proof of that. But I guess at the bottom line is that God does give proof. For anyone who wants to find him, they can, and then they could taste and see that he's good, and then from there believe in him. So at the end of the day, there's a lot there, and I hope you digest some of this stuff. It's just critical thinking out loud. And anyway, don't quit thinking, start crit thinking.